Hi everyone, Dan Arms from ServoPro here. I've got our partner for finance with us, Abhishek Maharaj from
Thank you,
Winquote
Dan.
SME Finance. Welcome, Abhishek.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you for having me.
We appreciate your time, mate. I know that you're talking to not only ServoPro members, but petrol station retailers every day, especially at the moment, and helping them with all their finance needs. So really appreciate your sharing some wisdom and shedding some light on some tricky information that's coming through from the government on the topic of finance.
Yeah, look, Dan, I really appreciate you having me on this because we do want to, spread the word as much as we can. I've been talking to a lot of people, a number of inquiries per day and just trying to assist people through this time. But, if we can send a message through this platform, thank you for having me on it. And, I'll do my best to help you and your members.
No, that's great. Much appreciated. The question that we're really getting a lot from members is around the stimulus packages that the federal government's announcing. But in particular with this video, I just wanted to ask you the question that we're getting from members around this 6-month loan repayment holiday and sort of how that works. If you could just sort of explain exactly what that is, that'd be, for our members, that'd be fantastic.
No worries. So the 6-month repayment holiday is there to help anyone in the general community who is in strife at this time and who are struggling to meet their repayments. And specific to service station owners, it could be for their business loans, their home loans, and their asset finance or any sort of vehicle or equipment loans. So I will talk on each of those points and just give you a little bit of understanding of how certain financial institutions will treat each product. So when it comes to home loans, what the structure is that they're going to defer the payments for about 6 months, and after 6 months, that principal and interest will be loaded on top of the loan at that time. And then let's just say you have another 10 years remaining on your home loan. And the interest was around, say, $20,000 plus the principal. So you add that $20,000 on your loan, and then pay down that loan within that period. So it just gets pretty much lumped onto the loan after the 6-month period, but you do get deferred payments for that time. At the moment, there's a little bit of conjecture around the asset finance type of facility or that type of loan, where a number of lenders are saying that they'll give you a 6-month repayment holiday, but on the 7th month, you will have to pay all those 6 months repayments in one lump sum. That is a little bit, that could seem to put a bit of pressure on anyone that, if there isn't a resolution to this COVID-19 problem within that 6-month period, which we're all hoping will be, so business will, we're all hoping that business will be back to usual within, say, 3 months, or if not earlier. But if that in that 6-month time you have, say, 6 monthly repayments to have to pay in one lump sum, that could prove a little bit of a cash flow issue for a number of owners. So, certain lenders are willing to restructure that debt over an extended period of time, similarly to the home loans. But some of them have said that, they would be due within that time. But that would something be treated on a case-by-case basis, and definitely, do touch base with me if you want to, if you need some sort of advice around that part. When it comes to business loans and commercial loans, we're seeing the word at the moment that it will be on a case-by-case basis from upfront. So there could be a mixture of holding repayments, just doing interest only, or reducing, or having no payments at that period of time, and then restructuring the loan after 6 months. There isn't any word that you have to pay your full 6-month repayments within that time. After the 6 months has occurred. But yeah, we see that as more of a case-by-case basis, because it's not really covered under that NCCP product, which allows banks to have a little bit more flexibility. Look, the key thing to note on that is that interest will be charged regardless. So, if you are in a fortunate position and can pay down your debts, and this virus has an effect any of your service station members, or has, I think it will affect everyone, but has an adversely affect, I should say, your members, then, if you do want to save on interest costs, the best thing to do, from my opinion, is to continue making those repayments where you can. But just to let you know, if there is anyone that does need those holidays, or those repayment holidays, lenders are out there to help and assist.
Yeah, great. So I guess what you're saying is, if if our members, if petrol station owners can avoid having to take that loan repayment holiday, that's always the best option. Don't just do it because you think it's available, but yeah, try and use whatever cash you've got in the business to get you through, and then yeah, sort of assess it from there.
Yeah, look, the key thing, Dan, is I think the service station industry has products and services that are required, during all sorts of economic times. And as there's overflow through from supermarkets, that certain clients will come to certain service stations where demand where supply is not there. So we could really see a varied impact amongst certain certain service station owners, depending on geographical and other aspects. So if business is as usual, and serviceability is there where clients can pay their debt, our recommendation is that that debt be continued to be paid down. And when uncertain times, or when times get a little bit more, there's a little bit more pressure, we should then look at approaching the banks at that time. But my suggestion would be for clients to look at it on a weekly basis and make that assessment, depending on the flow through of people coming through the doors and filling up their cars, and also buying additional stock from the shop sales.
Yeah, perfect. Probably like the follow-up question I was going to ask you, and you've probably already answered this in part, but obviously we're sort of talking about businesses in general, but so petrol station operators are definitely entitled to and are able to access this repayment holiday.
Yeah, look, Dan, they definitely are, and I will certainly advocate for anyone that I think needs this, and anyone who tells me their situation, I will definitely listen to and advocate for them. The key thing to understand right now is that the eligibility criteria is unknown at this stage, but the word is that it's going to be open to anyone that can demonstrate that. Not really anyone that can demonstrate it, but people who can demonstrate the fact that they do need these funds, and business has gone down or been adversely affected from it. Look, the one major thing I do want to discuss on that point is more of a sort of a community service announcement, rather than just looking at the numbers. It's similar to people hoarding of groceries and hoarding of certain materials that may have too much. And the fact is that if businesses are surviving, and if service station owners are trading well and can trade through it, it's about understanding the people or the less fortunate people that in the community that do need this funding. This funding is not an unlimited line of credit, from my words, or from my understanding. Sorry, it's going to be it's going to be available to a certain number of people who are in need. So, if they're service station owners who are trading well and have a big enough operation to see through this troubled time, I would encourage that they pull on and go through their own reserves and their own sort of resources to make light to go through this time. Because the positive out of that is that when this time is finished and your lender sees that you haven't called upon them to get you through this time, you will demonstrate to them that you have a strong business and strong business acumen to get you through any sort of economic environment, given your business is in a great location, has a good operation. And look, I think in general, if we know other people in the community that need the funds, not just service station owners, there could be associated businesses that that might be in trouble. do refer them to Dan and I, and we'll do our best to help them. But if your business is going strong or can see through this time, it's best to sort of leave those options for people who are in desperate need of these urgent funds from the government and banks.
No, that's great. Thanks, Abhishek. That's really, really good advice. And look, I know you've made yourself available over the years to all our ServoPro members, and I know to the wider community you're available, for financial advice around these loans. And look, as new sort of announcements and developments come from the federal government, the Prime Minister, I know you've got your finger on the pulse. You're talking to the major lenders and also third-party lenders, and we'll call on you for some more expert advice as it comes to light. So thanks very much for your time.
Yeah, look, just the one thing I'll leave you with, Dan, is that as soon as we get eligibility criteria, any sort of information, we'll distribute it amongst ServoPro, and you're free to send it to your entire network. So as soon as we get some more light, we'll be on to you and do our best to provide whatever information we can and whatever support we can.
Perfect. Thanks very much, Abhishek.
Not a problem, Dan. Thanks for your time. Talk to you soon.